Now that the Kansas City Chiefs schedule has been out for almost a week and it gave Chiefs Kingdom some time to soak it in, today we are going to discuss some of the top games on the Kansas City Chiefs schedule and what would be must-watch TV. But before we do get into all of that, please be sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have some fun. Now, it's been a little less than a week since I have uploaded a video on my channel. It is the dry portion of the season. Doesn't mean that I won't keep uploading. We are going to get back into the fold of things. And also, does not mean that the Kansas City Chiefs did not break any news while I have been gone. So, let's do an in case you missed it section and dive right into it. And it is that the Kansas City Chiefs have signed the majority of their draft class. The only ones left unsigned right now is Rashee Rice, wide receiver, and Felix Anudike-Uzomah. That leaves 5 guys that have signed to a contract. Wanya Morris, Chamari Connors, BJ Thompson, Nick Jones. Oh, you're going to make me struggle on the 5th guy. So let's retrack our steps here. I said Wanya Morris, Chamari Connors, Nick Jones, BJ Thompson. Ooh, we drew a complete blank, but we are going to pop it on the screen. But 5 draft picks are signed under contract. It's a good sign to see coming into the OTAs. That's going to kick off in a little less than a couple of weeks. And what we're going to do here today, right now, is discuss some must-watch Kansas City Chiefs games going into 2023. Now, I already know what Chiefs Kingdom is thinking. Yes, every game is must-watch TV, and specifically with how many times the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be on TV and how many primetime games they have. But as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, born and raised, there are games that I look out for that maybe the particular fan won't look out for and may, throw under the covers or think it's an automatic W. I'm going to key in on those games because those kind of trap games tend to be must-watch TV for the Kansas City Chiefs. But before we dive into that too, there was an interesting tweet that Warren Sharp had basically showing the strength of schedule for the Kansas City Chiefs. And a lot of people were coming in saying that the Kansas City Chiefs had a mid-tier strength of schedule. Nothing too difficult, but nothing too hard. But Warren Sharp tweeted saying that, pause, because I want to get this word for word. So let's pull out the handy dandy notebook, which is my phone, and go through his tweet. He started off by saying, Chiefs are next, and this is shocking. The KC plays 6 straight games with less rest than their opponents. 6. Late in the year, week 12 through week 17. Every single game the Chiefs play is at a rest disadvantage. Yeah, my reading skills are struggling right now. But and then he said, I researched back 35 years. This has never happened before. And that's crazy to think. From week 12 to week 17, they have less rest than who they are going up against. Now, let's get a little more deeper into that because then someone quoted the tweet and had the Kansas City Chiefs schedule notes. And if you thought my reading skills were struggling there, they're going to be on more display right now. So let's go through it. The Kansas City Chiefs schedule notes. The Super Bowl champion Chiefs have a net rest edge of -13. That means negative 13 days compared to all the opponents tied in together. And that's the 3rd worst in the NFL this year. But for the Chiefs, it's not just that they have less rest in general. They have less rest than their opponents for 6 straight weeks, from week 12 to 17. So let's go through week 12 and 17 week by week. Let's start off with week 12. They are off a Monday Night Football game when they play the Raiders, so 1 day rest. Now we go to week 13. They play the Packers, who they played. Hold up, that doesn't even sound right. Week 13, they play the Packers, who played on Thanksgiving the week prior, so they have 3 days rest. So to kind of jumble that in, the Packers played on Thanksgiving. The Kansas City Chiefs played on Sunday. Advantage Packers. Week 14, they play the Bills, who are off of a bye. We already know who that advantage goes there. Week 15, they play the Patriots, who are off a Thursday night game, so that's 3-day rest. So that'll be a Monday Night Football game against the New England Patriots. But again, prior week, New England played on Thursday. Kansas City would have played on Sunday. Week 16, they play the Raiders, who are off a Thursday night game. Hold up. See, let's get these reading. Let's go word by word, slow by slow. Week 16, they play the Raiders, who are off a Thursday night game. But because KC is off of a Monday night game, it's 4 days less of rest. And then week 17, they play the Bengals, who are off of a Saturday game. But because KC is off of another Monday night game, it is 2 days less for the Chiefs. Now, tying that all in together, that equals the negative 13 rest days for the Kansas City Chiefs. So you can pinpoint it any way you want. We know how the Kansas City Chiefs, we know how any NFL opponents going into this, we just don't know how the schedule makers make it up. It looks like they made it at a disadvantage for the Kansas City Chiefs. So you can hear your NFL media. You can hear your fan bases saying, oh, the Kansas City Chiefs got an easy schedule just because they focus on the opponent. The schedule makers did not make life easy for the Kansas City Chiefs, but at the end of the day, we know what Coach Reed, we know what the whole staff and training staff does to get this team ready, so I'm not too concerned about it. It does suck that it's from week 12 to 17 when that's playoff football, cold months. You grind out victories, and the Kansas City Chiefs and any football team, that's when they're going to need their rest. But this is why they're Super Bowl contenders year in and year out. They handle test and they raise the bar and they exceed it. So it's going to be another challenge, but I definitely believe they will excel at it. Now let's get into my list of the top games that Chiefs Kingdom should be watching for the Kansas City Chiefs this year. And as I mentioned, yes, I already know, Chiefs Kingdom, you're going to watch every game, but there's going to be games you come into and you're going to be like, this is an easy dub. The Kansas City Chiefs should handle that. And if you're saying that, I have a feeling you're new to Chiefs Kingdom, because also, there's never no easy dubs for the Kansas City Chiefs. It just doesn't happen. No matter if it's a weaker opponent or a very, very good caliber opponent, the Kansas City Chiefs are always in a dog match. I always say this with the Kansas City Chiefs is that they either play down to their opponent or they play up to their opponent. And that's why in most of these games, you're going to see me focus on kind of these lower end tier games that you feel like national media might not focus in. But Chiefs Kingdom, you should be zoned in completely. And you should most definitely be zoned into week 1 when the Kansas City Chiefs, banner night, take on the Detroit Lions. Now, yes, I know this wasn't the banner night game that all Chiefs Kingdom wanted. They either wanted the Miami Dolphins, Philadelphia Eagles, or the Cincinnati Bengals. At the end of the day, this is still going to be an amazing banner night. And it's not going to be no easy W either, because Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions showed themselves last year. They showed that they're fighters, that they never give up, and that it's going to be a highly competitive game. I don't see the Kansas City Chiefs winning this game by double digits. I really hope they do, but what we saw with the Lions at the end of the year and what Dan Campbell has put together, he has got a fighter, and he has a team that never gives up. And they got a solid core too. They put together pieces on the defense throughout the free agency and the draft, and also they got the pieces on offense. They brought in David Montgomery. They drafted Jamari Gibbs. Jared Goff, he is no slouch either, and it's going to be a rematch of that highly prolific Monday Night Football game, probably the best regular season game we ever seen, when the Kansas City Chiefs lost to the Rams by a score of 54-51. I expect this to be a high-scoring game. These two offenses know how to put up points. I hope to see the Kansas City Chiefs defense show up early, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got to see Patrick Mahomes win an offensive battle against the Detroit Lions. Week 1, it may not be the banner night game you want, but it's going to be the banner night game that is going to draw the whole nation and see, even if the Lions win or lose, the Lions are going to gain respect from a lot of people. Now my next game we're going to focus on, we're going to week 3. Yes, this is going to surprise a lot of people and surprise Chiefs Kingdom as well, as the Chicago Bears come into Arrowhead and take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, this is another one when you look on paper, the Kansas City Chiefs are probably going to be favored by double digits, and it should be an easy victory. But let's rewind a little bit to last year when the Kansas City Chiefs had a week 3 game against the Indianapolis Colts. They lost when they never should have. And the Kansas City Chiefs always have one game every year where they lose a game they shouldn't. Do not let the Chicago Bears be that team. Justin Fields has a lot to prove next year, and you best believe he's going to be on his P's and Q's. The league is trying to figure out if he's going to be a prolific passer next year. So he's going to try to get his passing on display. and we already know what he can do with his legs. And he's starting to have a nice core put together on the receiving side with now DJ Moore, you have Chase Claypool, and you have Darnell Mooney. Those three right there will keep the Kansas City Chiefs secondary on its toes. At the end of the day, too, on the Chicago Bears defense, they are young guys who are trying to be up and coming. It is somewhere where Mahomes and the crew can take advantage of, but this could be something like the Detroit game as well. If the Kansas City Chiefs defense is asleep at the wheel, this can be another high-scoring bout to where you have to have Mahomes win a game, and that just is a little concerning when one thing Justin Fields excels well in is running. And if the Chicago Bears control the time of possession and keep Mahomes off the field, that is worrisome. So this is a game. Even though you feel like you shouldn't tune in or you will watch and feel like it should be an easy game, don't feel that way. I wouldn't sleep on the Chicago Bears just that much. Now let's head into week 4. Yeah, we didn't go too far ahead. We're going to focus on the Sunday night football game against the New York Jets. And the only reason I have this as must-watch TV and it should be a very, very fun, exciting matchup is because this is something we've been waiting on for a while, and it may be the last time we ever get to see it unless we get a playoff matchup, and it is Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes. It feels like we've been hoping for this matchup time in and time out, and when both these teams have met in the past, well, when both of these players have met up in the past, either one wasn't playing, and we either had the backup QBs of each team going against each other. This game is early in the year, so injury deprived, if no injuries happen, both these players, Mahomes and Rodgers, should be going against each other for the first time, and it should be so much fun. And it should be, honestly, one of the biggest tests for Patrick Mahomes early in the season, as that New York Jets defense is no joke. That New York Jets defense is what kept them in playoff contention last year. That New York Jets defense is what had Aaron Rodgers thinking, hey, if I come to New York, we can win a Super Bowl here. That is how legit this team is. They feel like they were missing a quarterback. Now they have Aaron Rodgers. And they also put nice pieces of the puzzle together on the offense. Now, they're bringing most of Aaron Rodgers' former crew, but they got a former Kansas City Chief and McCole Hardman there as well. And they have nice pieces with Garrett Wilson. They still got Corey Davis. I mentioned McCole Hardman. They signed Alan Lazard. They got Randall Cobb. Breece Hall should be back as well. Michael Carter. They got the whole crew set up for Aaron Rodgers. He's got a good offense. He's got a good defense. And I believe, yes, I mentioned the Lions and Bears, but this could be the first legit test, prime-time test for the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And it's going to be must-watch TV on Sunday night. We've been hoping for this battle between Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. And I think this one was one worth the waiting. Now, I didn't know if I really wanted to put this game on here, but then you just had to. And it's that the Minnesota Vikings and Kansas City Chiefs will take battle in week 5. The main reason I'm putting this on here and why it is must-watch TV is because if Patrick Mahomes defeats the Minnesota Vikings, he will be the youngest player to ever defeat 31 NFL teams. Just think about it. The dude is 27, going on 28, and if he beats the Minnesota Vikings in week 5, he will have already beat not every because you got the Kansas City Chiefs, but 31 teams at least once. That is crazy. That just shows how great Patrick Mahomes is. But also, matchup-wise as well, the Vikings are a legit team. They're a playoff team. They have a good offense. They got Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson. You know you got to have his eyes on him. Jordan Addison. We don't know what they'll do with Dalvin Cook, but he's on the team right now, so that could be another threat as well. And the Vikings defense, it's inconsistent. So let's hope when the Kansas City Chiefs play, Patrick Mahomes just goes off for like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. But the main reason this is must-watch TV is because Patrick Mahomes can have a victory and have everyone under his belt at such a young age. Now the last one I want to focus on, and it's not a game in total, but it's mostly on the back portion of the season, and it is the Cincinnati Bengals and the LA Chargers to close off the year. We already know that's going to be playoff football. You could be playing both of these teams for the number 1 seed, and you could be playing the Chargers for the division at that point. Now, it hasn't worked out like that in times past with the Chargers, where the Kansas City Chiefs tend to get a lead on in the division early on, and the Chargers have time struggle to catching up. But if this is a different years, and if the Chargers are on their P's and Q's throughout the year, Week 17 can be a huge matchup, and it can be for the division rights. And you know that's what the schedule makers are hoping for. And then if you focus on, I said Week 17. I'm thinking there's only 17 games in a season. Week 18, the Chiefs take the Chargers, and then Week 17, they take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And you know, schedule makers had it like this on purpose because they want that fight for the number 1 seed, and then they want these two teams to play again in the playoffs. That rivalry is real. That matchup is real. Burrow, Mahomes, that is the battle everyone loves to see. And Mahomes, even though he beat him in the playoffs last year, the Bengals do have it up 3-1 right now. Mahomes has the Super Bowls, but there's a little catch-up game that needs to go on, and best believe that still motivates Patrick Mahomes. Those 2 games to cap off the year are going to be something that is going to be highly anticipated. It's going to be playoff football before playoff football even kicks off. Chiefs Kingdom, I'm going to end this video off now. I know there is a lot of games I missed out. You guys are going to mention the Dolphins, the Eagles, division rivals, primetime games. They are everywhere. I already know. Chiefs Kingdom, Kansas City Chiefs, every game is must-watch TV. You let me know what games you're zoning in on out throughout the season. With that, I'm going to check out. Please be sure you do subscribe. If you did like this video, please do leave that big thumbs up. I'm going to check out. Y'all take care. Peace.